Welcome to another edition of Play It Through, and this time around it's Back to the Future Part 1, brought to us by LJN and Beam Software. Now LJN, of course, is known for horrible licensed movie games, but Beam Software, well, they're the ones who make them. Now Bigfoot, Back to the Future Part 2 and 3, and Bad Street Brawler are just a few of the terrible games Beam Software produced during the NES era. And this game, of course, is no exception to the terribleness. Now I think this game is already quite known for being absolutely horrible. And that really is because most people, when you're playing this game, you're not even going to get past the first minigame. And basically the game's broken up into two parts. You have these street parts, and then you have a selection of about 4 minigames, which each take place at these different buildings on this map of Hill Valley you can see. And the first one, the one where you have to throw random mugs at these bullies who try to get you in the malt shop, is about as far as any person really will ever get. And, they're not missing anything by not making it any farther than that. Now, of course, in this run, I'm going to get to show you all the great minigames and how terrible they are. And you can see we're starting off in just the basic street of Hill Valley, and in the first stage I'm going to be just running, but I should be able to pick up the skateboard at the end of this level, and I should be able to keep a hold of that throughout most of this run. And basically, as far as I know, you're just collecting random clocks in order to get bonuses and complete the level, and you just don't want to get hit by all the random crap that's flying at you. The worst enemies really come down to the red shirt bullies and the random bees, because there actually is 2 separate bullies. You have these red shirt bullies, and then you have blue ones that basically just walk in a square, while the red ones kind of home in on you for a second and then follow you. And then you have the bees that just work just non-stop. I don't know how many giant bees or hornets or whatever they are in Hill Valley, but apparently there's 1,000 of them, and they all want my one character dead. Now, I say one character, I mean, he doesn't even look like Marty McFly, which is another thing. Of course, I think a lot of people have already said why this game's terrible. But, through most of this, I'm just gonna, if I'm talking through it, you're really not gonna be missing much. It's really nothing I can explain. In order to defeat this game, in order to beat this game and complete it, it just really comes down to either luck, or it comes down to memorizing the maps. Because the maps are the same every time you play the game. The items are always strewn about in the same spots, and the enemies are always spawned in the same spot as well. It just really comes down to memorization or luck, and usually it's a combination of both is what it takes in order to complete the game. Now, at the end of each little segment, when you get to like a 4-way crossing, is when you finish the level and you rack up your points, and then you just keep going. It's not really that fun to watch. I know that, but the only really enjoyable parts are something if you've never seen them before, never seen a playthrough of this game before, then you get to see the other mini-games besides just the malt shop mini-game, which I really feel that they didn't want you, the developers of the game really didn't even want you to see the rest of it, because that first minigame, that first malt shop thing is just almost unbeatable, unless you are able to last a certain amount until you get a special power-up, which can really end up helping you a lot, but it's still almost, for the average gamer, they're just never going to get past that part. Which I really think is part of LJN and Beam Software's plan. They just don't want you to get to the end of it. You just keep trying and trying. So you really think you got your money's worth, but in fact you just wasted all your money buying a crappy licensed game. But yeah, LJN and of course then THQ are the real reasons why licensed games have gone down the toilet over the last 15 or so years of video games. Just, they used to make good licensed games. Companies used to do that, but LJN and THQ showed that you can make a very cheap game in a very little amount of time and make a good amount of profit, so why put any effort into it unless you have to? And the sad part is THQ is still around today doing the same crap, and it's sad. No one should buy that stuff. But that wraps up that level real quick, and now we're going to go on to the actual first mini-game that, we're done the first street part. And here we go, Lou's Cafe. Now behind the counter, I'm going to be able to move up and down around this counter, and I have to shoot 50 of these bullies. Yes, 50 of them. Now look, it doesn't seem that hard at first, but once you get like 2 or 3 of them coming at you at once, it's almost impossible to judge it unless you've tried this 2 or 3 times, and you probably will, because once one just sits down, they immediately throw you into the door, and you lose. Now, as soon as you hit the 50th one, you pass. You can get hit right then. It doesn't matter, which I probably will as soon as I can get the 50. You instantly pass the level, and you just continue on. You only have to get up to 50. Now, another good thing is there will be a random waitress that will roller skate her way up to the bar in a second or two. And what she's going to do is she's going to give me a milkshake that is a power-up that I can use at any time, which immediately sends all the incoming bullies flying on their butt. Now here she comes. If you accidentally hit her, she runs away and doesn't give you anything. So now that I have it, I will use it more than likely as soon as I get a good amount of them coming at me that unfortunately I wouldn't be able to get to. And if this wasn't bad enough, the bullies eventually, yeah, exactly, they start throwing crap at me. I was waiting for it. I knew it was coming. The most annoying factor in the world is them throwing stuff at me. Okay, come on, 46. You know what, use it real quick. Hit 2 more. And there we go, I got it. Now I'm just going to let this last one hit me. Okay, he hits me, he's going to chuck me against the door. So officially you think I would have lost. I would have lost a life, but no. I've passed that. I get my bonus. I get 51 whatever bonus, keeping track of my score or whatever. It says, well done, Marty, now we're going to head for the school. So guess what's coming next? A whole bunch of more useless street levels that we, if you didn't already enjoy those past street levels, now we have like a yellow tinted street level to deal with. I still have my skateboard, thankfully, so I can just speed through these a little bit quicker than it would usually take me. We have the same enemies that we've been dealing with before. The bullies, hornets, hula hoop girls, and random people carrying a pane of glass across the street. The most of all the enemies, though, like, it just seems like in a normal street or whatever, some of these enemies would be there. You're gonna have hornets, trash cans, and stupid kids hula hooping in the middle of the street. It just happens. But the thing that makes no sense to me is who sets up bowling pins in the middle of the street as an obstacle to take someone out. And not even the fact that it's just one set. There's like 30, 40, 50 or more sets of bowling pins, 10 of them, perfectly set up, just for me to like knock them down. Now I get it, I'm like throwing bowling balls at people. That is my projectile weapon. Which, whatever to that makes little sense as well. But the bowling pins being set up is what I think makes absolutely no sense at all. Like, it just boggles the mind. And it's really the most interesting thing I can talk about while playing this game, because the rest of it's very uninteresting. Pretty much similar to when I did my Back to the Future Part 2 run, and which later in the week you'll get to see Back to the Future Part 3. I'm sure you're all looking forward to that, because that's a pile of crap that no one should ever play. It's just one of those games. This is one of those games that I hope, if you were a kid during this time and you saw Back to the Future, I hope your parents said, you know what, we're not buying you this stupid Back to the Future game. Let's go, spend the money somewhere else. I hope you had one of those parents instead of one of the parents that actually let you buy this game, like my parents, and we got a miserable experience out of it. Because, I as a kid, I could get all the way up to the malt shop, just like most people, I'm sure, and I never would get past it. Now, I don't even remember if there was a Game Genie code that could have helped me at that point, because I really don't think I gave a crap enough. I mean, some games you wanted to beat. Like, they were just difficult to beat. You knew there was an ending, it was fun to play, you just were stuck in an area, so you would use a Game Genie code to get past it. But this is just one of those games that it's not even worth the time. I'm sure there's probably some Game Genie codes for like infinite lives, which in the end really doesn't help me. Because if I hadn't already mentioned, if I would have failed at the malt shop level, or at any of these minigame levels, instead of just having to redo the minigame, oh no, you have to redo the previous street before the minigame as well. Like, somehow you get kicked out of the place and get sent 3 streets back. And you have to, work your way back up a couple of blocks in order to get back into the malt shop or wherever in order to continue. I mean, that just adds to the difficulty and pain in the butt factor of this game. Now, here we go, we're actually, finally at the school, and now we have to break Lorraine's heart, your mom's heart. Yes, you have to break your own mom's heart. And, yeah, she throws hearts at you, and basically you have, like, a shield, and basically you have to keep blocking the hearts. If any of the hearts get past you, you fail. The only thing I can kind of equate this to, it kind of reminds me of Olive Oil in the Popeye arcade game when she's throwing hearts at you, except you're actually collecting them in order to complete the level. And if you haven't already guessed, you have to survive for 50 seconds. Not collect 50 hearts, but survive for 50 seconds. As soon as you've gone past 50 seconds, you can immediately stop. Now, I must admit, this is much easier than the malt shop, in my opinion. Just learning the dodges, because you're only a maximum of going up 1 per second. You're not, going from all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom instantly to try to grab the next heart. They only can go a maximum of 1 step up or 1 step down. So thank God for that. But I still don't understand why, as soon as 50 seconds pass, or after I've hit the 50th bully, why all of a sudden that's the key in order to pass. But as you can see, the light is getting darker. I officially think that's what's going on. We've now entered like the evening, as it has like a nice orange-brown Reese's. It really looks like Reese's cup, like Reese's peanut butter cup wrappings, going on this level, along with some weird green and pink fungus as well growing from the sides. Because I don't know how everything else, whatever, but everything else is it's either Reese's Cups or it's pink fungus. Whatever. There's really nothing interesting to say about the street level. Like I said before, it comes down to memorization, as well as just plain luck in order to complete this game. Because the Hornets, half the time, are what takes me out. Either them or there's incoming homing bullies that just walk directly at me. Now, thankfully for the bowling balls, I can at least take out most stuff that's in front of me if I'm going to accidentally run into some stuff. I can at least take it out with a bowling ball, so they give you that. So at least that's not as bad. But that's about the only good thing I can say about the entire game, is at least they give you a projectile weapon to throw at enemies. But is that really a plus? As I wrap up another street here. And it'll rack all my points right back up. It's just useless counting up of points, because on the NES, when we're playing Back to the Future, I'm going for the high score. I need to make sure I get the high score on Back to the Future. And I'm sure there's a world record on it. There's a world record on pretty much every video game now, but I don't know what's wrong with you if you had to spend the time to get the world record on Back to the Future. It just seems not worth the time. Because, it's just really. It's one of those worthless records. Having the fastest time in Mario, people care about. But having the high score in Back to the Future just shows the world that you played this game for way more than you ever should have. As I try to dodge as many Hornets as possible, and reach the end of another street, as I come to a 4-way crossing that looks exactly the same as every other 4-way crossing, at least with the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup color scheme that they've decided to go with in this level. Now, we only have one more level, and then we make it to the dance, and then we have another one of the absolutely positively annoying minigames to deal with. And this one, the upcoming minigame, I probably say is the hardest of all of them. It's definitely, I think, the hardest of them, because most people don't make it past the bullies. But after doing the next one, I must say that yes, the following one coming up at the dance is the hardest minigame in the game. Wow, that's a lot to say. But there we go. Okay, good. We're at the end of the street. The score's going to rack up some more, as I'm going to cross over 50,000 points. Awesome. And now that that's finished up, here we go with the actual dance. Oh yes, the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. Here we go. Marty's rocking out on stage with his electric guitar. And for this one, what we have to do is catch music notes. Once again, didn't we do this in Popeye, the arcade game? I don't know. Seems like we did. But basically, you have the different music notes that you have to deal with. The 1/8 note, the flat, and the sharp. And for it all, you basically have to get, when you're all the way down, the flat notes can only go to the bottom. So if you see the B shape, the lowercase, that, you're gonna go all the way down. If you see the sharp sign, which is your other sign for numbers as well, in case you don't know what the sharp is, you have to go all the way up. It's also the darkest colored of the notes, so they're always up. And then the 1/8 note, just like the regular music note, is always in the middle. The thing is, though, as if you've been paying attention, I have missed some notes because it's almost impossible to get every note. Your stupid meter on the side immediately drops. And of course you have to fill it all the way up to the heart in order to complete it. If you don't get it all the way up, you fail and your parents don't fall in love. And you do have a time limit in case you're wondering. You can see at the very bottom the picture of, I guess, was your brother and sister, similar to the movie. You see as they're slowly fading away, I have to make sure that I hurry up and be able to finish, which sometimes is just near impossible. Oh, come on, thank you. I knew it had to be close. And then all of a sudden, they look at each other, and their heart goes over their head, and yeah, I completed it. So what else is left? Well, of course, it's more street running, but after that, we actually get to go in the time machine and escape the hardness that is Back to the Future Part 1 on the NES. But we have to complete some more streets, and I guess now it's completely dark out, as we now have a darker shade of gray than the first level, and still nothing exciting going on. The same hornets, the same trash cans, the same everything. As we've already seen, someone's still setting up bowling pins in the middle of the street. This makes absolutely no sense. It's still going on as I use my skateboard to just kind of slide past, throw some crap at some people, and just try to complete these streets as quickly as I possibly can. And more point bonus racking up. Yeah, something we've already seen, but it continues no matter what. Okay, let's get to the map and go right back in, and let's continue on with the next street. Oh yes, as I have 6 lives that I built up, which really isn't that many considering how many trial and error it takes to actually get good at this game. I mean, really only having a few lives, I just jumped over that railing right there. I think you just need to keep grabbing enough clocks in order to make sure that the picture at the bottom stays solid. I think which is pretty easy to do overall, but I think that's the only point of actually picking up the clocks, other than getting a random bonus at the end of each level, which, whatever, unless you, like I said, you're going for the world record for score, who really cares. As another point bonus racking up is going on, this will quickly complete. I think the only thing good is at least they're not too long of levels. At least we're not sitting here dying of like the longest levels ever in gaming. But it still doesn't make them any less interesting to look at, Plus, of course, the music that's been looping since the beginning of the game. The only time there's another song in the entire game is the cutscene, a little mini game at the dance. With all the music notes and all. That's the only other time there's another song other than the current one playing going on in the game. Which, at least they did 2 songs. Is that really a good thing to say, or is that a bad thing about the game? Oh, it's, a positive. They have more than 1 song at least play once. I mean, that's really not a positive towards any game. If you haven't already blown your brains out from listening to this song on loop, you should really just go ahead and download the MP3 of it, and put it on your iPod, and turn the volume all the way up, and have it on internal loop, and see how long it takes you to blow your brains out. Seriously, it's like the worst tune ever. It just doesn't make any sense. But that was Beam Software's music department for the most part. I mean, do you really remember that many great compositions made from the Beam Software development team? No, exactly. There really isn't that many. I'm sure there's at least 1 or 2 good songs. They made a lot of games during this time frame, so I'm sure they had to have at least 1 or 2 catchy songs, but not in the Back to the Future games, I know that much. Rack up another amount of it, but at least this is the end. That was the last street. So here we go with the actual final minigame, as it's going to come up here. And basically for this one, this is my only chance to actually get Back to the Future. So what happens is, I have to get up to 88 miles per hour, at least that's part of the actual film, thankfully. And anytime these lightning bolts hit the ground, they leave like that yellow smudge. You just saw like someone blew their nose on the street. And I have to dodge all of them. If I hit them, I slow down. But I have to be going exactly 88, which is max speed, when I hit the line at the end, the wire at the end, just like the movie. And there we go. I blast off, and that completes the game. It says, congratulations, you've made it back. All your time travel is behind you now. Maybe. Because, of course, there's a sequel to this game, Back to the Future Part 2 and 3. And if you're interested, of course, going over the True Gaming to see the Back to the Future Part 2 run I did back in November. And of course, stay tuned for Back to the Future Part 3 coming up later. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.